Hey golf people, the most incredible golf smartwatch that I have ever seen has just been released. It's a marvel of form and function, and it's a giant level up from anything that has come before it. It's the new Approach S70 from Garmin, and quite frankly, it's just unreal. In today's video, we're going to discuss the improvements to the design of Garmin's top-of-the-line golf smartwatch, and we're gonna explore the groundbreaking upgrades to the Virtual Caddy, which actually picks the best club for you to hit in any situation. The slope functions and the health and wellness features of this watch, of which there are many. And importantly, I'm going to help you decide if it's worth it for you to upgrade from your existing older Garmin smartwatches or if you should stick with what you've got. So let's dive right into the most exciting features of this new Garmin Approach S70. We'll start with the obvious stuff first, but as we go along, we'll move on to the features which I think are just downright magical. All right, starting off here with the screen, I think the most noticeable difference that you will see is this incredible AMOLED screen, which I think rivals anything that Apple or Samsung or the top smartwatch manufacturers can make. It's certainly, without a doubt, the best I've ever seen on a golf smartwatch. In addition to the ultra crisp, bright, colorful screen, the watch now has updated graphics to go along with it. Here's a look at the detail and shadowing they've added, and it's actually more impressive when you see the evolution of Garmin smartwatches across the years. Here's a look at everything from the old S3 up until today and how it's evolved, and wow, what a difference. The S70 truly has the most detailed and precise mapping I've ever seen on a golf smartwatch. Moving on to the case here. You can really appreciate the updated design and form factor of this watch when you compare it to its predecessors. So I've dug up both the S62 and the Mark II Golfer so we can see what's changed. Starting with the weight, the S70 is considerably lighter than the S62 was on wrist, and it's significantly lighter than the Garmin Mark II Golfer. I mean, that is just crazy. This is gonna make it feel like a feather on your wrist compared to its predecessors. Now, if we move on to the case shape, Garmin has beveled the case edges, making this the most comfortable golf watch that I've ever tested. The tapering on the edges makes the S70 simply melt on the wrist. It provides a full range of motion in your wrist, so no trouble swinging the club, and it really feels as if you're wearing nothing at all. There's also a new smaller size that Garmin has rolled out here in the S70 line. This makes the watch much more accessible to the lady golfers out there and those that just prefer a smaller form factor. And if you ever get caught out in the rain, no worries, because the S70 is rated up to 50 meters of water resistance, which means you can take it in the shower, you can swim with it in the pool. I did all those activities, had no issues. Now, lastly, when it comes to aesthetics, you'll see that Garmin has opted to include an integrated style design for its wristband. This curvature offers great drape across the wrist, and it adds to the smaller feel when it's on your wrist as well. But while glamorous, these are just simply aesthetic upgrades, and the real important stuff lies in the feature set and the functionality that this new Approach S70 brings to the table. Let's start off here with the slope function. Now, you know that watches in Garmin's past, like the S42, the S62, they had slope built into it. But this year, there is a major leap forward in how this works, and it's super exciting. In the past, the slope number was determined by the elevation of the course. Whether you were going uphill or downhill, you would simply tap on the watch, and you could go from actual distance to the adjusted slope distance. It worked great, but now we've got a much more accurate calculation, which includes the wind direction, the weather, as well as the air pressure, and that is something I'm gonna dive a little bit deeper on because it's fascinating. With a simple swipe down, you can visually see how all three elements go into the equation, and I don't know about you, but this gives me a lot more trust in what I'm seeing. In real life, I found the distances scarily accurate. There were times in my testing, especially on the hilly course at Paynes Valley out in Missouri, where I didn't want to trust it, but I ended up trusting it, and it was right every single time. Now, how does it measure the air pressure? Well, this Approach S70 actually has a barometer built into the side of it. And what's even more exciting is that this watch knows the air pressure and the air density that your normal conditions are. So here in Tampa, it's very humid, it's muggy, it's wet out there. It knows that's my normal resting condition. And so when I travel somewhere else, the Virtual Caddy, which we're gonna talk about real soon, actually adjusts for that. Honestly, that is mind-boggling. All right, let's talk about what is probably the coolest feature as it relates to golf, and that's the virtual caddy. The virtual caddy is now even more accurate and provides better advice on club selection for any shot out on the golf course. Just like the S62, its predecessor, you're gonna need 5 full rounds in order to train the virtual caddy on your game. By hitting all of the shots and recording that activity, it starts to learn your game and know the average distance, the average accuracy or miss of your golf shots, and that is going to take your game to completely new heights. You're going to get AI-assisted club selections, and you're going to get recommendations on how best to play a hole with probabilities included. So for instance, is it better to take a 3-wood and have a long iron in your hand? Is it better to hit a driver and have a wedge in your hand? Well, there's no more guesswork anymore because the virtual caddy will literally give you the probability and show you on average how many strokes it would take you to do either. Crazy. Now, another major improvement for me is how the dispersion is visualized. Here on screen, you can see this box, and this is the expected dispersion of your shot with any given club. It's an invaluable piece of information, and it's directly affecting the virtual caddy's recommendations. For instance, if there's a good amount of water within the box, it's going to recommend you a different club to hit. It's truly next level stuff. Now, another super cool feature of this Approach S70 is the option to see green contour maps. Now, this is actually a $99 add-on within the Garmin app. But if you are in the Garmin universe, for instance, maybe you have the R10 and you want to use the Home Tee Hero simulation, that same subscription covers that as well. So it's all inclusive of Garmin's golf universe. So in that way, it may be worth it to you. And just so you know, of the over 40,000 golf courses that Garmin has mapped, about half of them now have this green contour data, and they're working weekly to add more and more courses. But you may want to just check and see if your home course has been mapped. I think that will probably be the deal breaker for you there on the subscription. Just like the prior generation, it's very easy to position the flag on the green to get super accurate GPS distances. In my testing with a rangefinder, I found the distance to be within a 3-yard circle at any given time, but most often my distances, when I hit it with the rangefinder, when I looked down at my watch, it was within 1 yard. It's as good as it gets. Some other features that have been carried over from the prior models of Garmin watches, you've got the pinpointer, which shows you the direction of the flagstick at all times. It's super handy for blind shots. You've got club statistics that track how far you hit each club, and it helps you gap your bag. You've got shot measurements, weather, wind direction, and a lot more. This video could probably be an hour of me going through all the features that are included, but we'll have some other videos where we'll dive a little bit deeper. Now, before we move to the next section, I just want to say I've got some links down below if you're looking to purchase the Garmin S70. Using our links, of course, helps support Let's Play Through and what we do here with the reviews. If you're in the United States, I highly, highly recommend you use our partners playbetter.com. They're the home of free 48-hour shipping across the United States. They've got an incredibly hassle-free money-back guarantee up to 60 days when you purchase a piece of technology from them. If you're not 100% satisfied, you can exchange it or get your money back. Their customer service is the best in the business, and they are always taking good care of the Let's Play Through community. Playbetter.com, I've got some links down below to purchase the S70. Now, the health and wellness features that are built into this watch are next level, and I'm a firm believer that if your body is performing at its optimum, you're going to play better out there on course. Now, if you've seen my reviews of the Garmin Epix or the Fenix 7, you'll see that these features look very familiar, but this is the first time that some of this next level health data has actually been added to a Garmin golf watch in the line. We'll start with the real basics here. Like most smartwatches on the market, you're going to get a heart rate monitor, you're going to get a step counter, but that is where the basic stuff ends. For instance, the Approach S70 measures your sleep. It will tell you if you've gotten excellent, good, poor sleep each night. It goes deeper than that though, because the Garmin Approach S70 will measure your REM cycles. It will tell you how deeply you've rested. I found there is a significant correlation to my performance out on the golf course based on how restful my sleep was the night before. And as an aside here, I've had this watch now for 7 days, and 2 of those days I had a couple of drinks before I went to bed. Had a nice dinner. We were celebrating 50,000 subscribers. thank you very much. If you're not subscribed, go ahead and do that now. But a little celebration, couple of drinks, and guess what? My sleep suffered for it, and my performance the next day on the golf course suffered for it. Super interesting to actually see that visually and see that data analyzed. Now, this watch will actually track your stress levels, and I gotta say, it's scarily accurate. Again, all of this feeds into the performance out on the golf course or whatever activity you're going to do that day. It also tracks your blood oxygen level, which, to make a long story short, is the ability of your body to process the oxygen and really turn that into something useful in your body. And it's going to affect the level of your fitness. So it's great just to monitor that and make sure that you're performing at peak. All of those calculations go into what I think is one of the coolest things that I've ever seen on a piece of technology, and that is what Garmin calls the body battery. So by measuring your vitals, it gives you an accurate picture of your energy level. And again, I've seen a direct correlation to my focus, my energy, and ultimately my performance out on the golf course. There have been a few times wearing this watch and other Garmin watches that have this feature where I've been yawning at the end of the day, like 4 or 5 in the afternoon. I look down at my body battery and guess what? I'm at 18%. So again, it gives you a real accurate visual look at how you're doing. Now, in addition to golf, it keeps track of any exercise an activity that you might be performing, anything from running to skiing to pickleball. The battery life on this watch, quite frankly, is incredible. I've been wearing this watch for a week, as I said, and I still have not charged this battery one time. I played 2 18-hole rounds, 2 9-hole rounds, and I am literally still at 22%. That's pretty fantastic. Garmin says that you will get between 4 and 5 rounds out of this watch, or about 20 hours of golf time. If you're not playing golf, you're not heavily using the GPS, this battery could last up to 2 weeks without a charge. That's awesome. And speaking about charging, Garmin is still using its proprietary connection, which snaps in nice and securely. I really like that about this watch. I don't really like those ones that are magnetic. This makes me feel secure that I've actually got this thing charging. It's gonna be at 100% when I wake up the next morning. And on top of it, this is the first time that Garmin has included a USB-C connection on the other side, so it's up to the more modern equivalent. Kudos, Garmin. Okay, so you know that I am a firm believer that there is no perfect piece of technology out on the market. And while the Garmin S70 is an incredible device, there's just a couple of little things that I'd like to see changed. The most important one for me out on course while I was using this watch was in the shot detection. I found the S70 missed more shots than I think it should have. While most of the golf watches that are currently on the market, including the S62, often can miss short shots around the green like chips and putts, I found the S70 struggled picking up even full shots at times. It wasn't an extreme amount, but it was more than I would have guessed. Now, it's important to mention that I have a beta version of this watch. I am also testing a software which by launch day will probably have been updated at least once, maybe twice. So I expect that Garmin will get this right, but I wanna let you know what I'm seeing out there. The other good news is that Garmin has what they call the CT10 sensors. It screws into the butt ends of each club. It greatly improves shot detection, and it makes it automatic. You don't have to choose clubs anymore. It just knows when you pull that club out of the bag. So I would highly recommend pairing up with the CT10 sensors if your budget allows. It's, again, an additional add-on from Garmin, but I think it's worth it here. My other gripe, and it's ridiculously minor, is that when I take the watch off, I'd love to just be able to lay it down flat. But because you've got this integrated style bracelet, it does not allow for that. And if you're in the same camp for me, again, there is good news because Garmin has also thought of that. They have built a quick release system into these watch bands so you can simply change them out for something else Garmin offers. You can get that lay flat one like the S62 came with. All right, let's talk about price here. This watch, being the flagship golf model for Garmin, is going to come at a pretty hefty price, more expensive by $200 than its previous flagship in the S62. This watch retails at $699, and that is going to be a tough pill for many of you to swallow on paper. But when I look at the features this thing provides, the improvements that it's made, and if you consider the fact that basically it's the cost of a new driver, I still think that with all this thing has to offer, it still offers a good amount of value. And if this watch can shave a stroke or two off my game, to me, that is 100% worth it. So to wrap things up, let's start with my rating of this new Approach S70. I am going to give it a full 5 out of 5 stars. And if I could give it 6 out of 5 stars, I would do that. It is that good. If you're a current S42 or S62 owner, is it worth upgrading to this new Approach S70? Well, I gotta say, and before I got my hands on this watch, I wouldn't think I would say this, but I do think it is worth upgrading. The screen alone might push you over the top, it's that good. But the feature set and the new improvements to the virtual caddy and the slope functions, that does it for me. Now, if you are an existing Epix or Mark II golfer user, is it worth upgrading to this S70? I would say probably stick with what you've got. You've already got that amazing AMOLED screen and most of the features that we discussed, and with future product updates like firmware updates, I think you'll see all of the features that are built into the S70 now rolled out to the Epix and Mark II. If you're a first-time golfer, should you consider this Approach S70 or one of the many other budget-friendly golf watch options out there on the market? Well, that is only a question that you can answer for yourself. However, I have put this video together to show you all the options that are out there on the market. Make sure to click that. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this one. Do hit subscribe if you haven't already. I'll catch you back here real soon on another edition of Let's Play Through.